Welcome friends. In this demo I'm going to explain to you how you can create a word map or a word chart or text chart. So as you know by now that the show me toolbar here on the Tableau that shows by default allows you to easily and rapidly create a variety of charts that are available here as you would like. And the way they work is that as soon as you select or you bring onto a canvas your dimensions or measures, the type of your data variables, these charts would automatically activate, and you can just you can create them by a simple click. But there are those charts that are not available, or they're not there by default on the show me. In which case you will have to follow certain processes in order to produce them. A word map is the type of chart that, although it's easy, but you have to know the mechanism to create one, which I'll explain in this video. And the way it works is that the word map, there are a variety of word-based or text-based maps or charts you can create. This is one of the most basic one. And the way it works is that you're bringing onto the tablet, onto the canvas, all of your dimensions, and then you use your measures based on which to create or to establish size and scale for those dimensions. So with that being said, let's bring the country, and this data set is from the world population data set I'm using here for the sake of this practice. So let's bring the country or dependency onto the text here. Remember that if you don't bring your variable onto the shelves, and if you drag it onto the text will just give you an amalgamation of all your words or text from that dimension onto your canvas. It's not very friendly to read, but this is where the magic happens. This is where you have to wire or connect your measures to make these words stand out and make sense. So the second thing to do is, since we are looking at the word map based on the measures of population, we bring the population onto the size. And there you go. Now we have a measure-based or size-based measures of countries, which is the population. Still, this is not a complete word map by standard that it's known today. So something else that you need to do once you bring your measure onto the size is to go ahead and select text here, and text allows you to convert this chart into a text map or a word map. And there you go. So now you have all of the world countries here, and the way that their scale, their size is based on the measure of population, as I just explained. So the countries that are stand out or as larger in terms of size, these are the countries with higher population as opposed to countries with smaller population size. So China, of course, India, Indonesia, Nigeria, Brazil, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Russia, Egypt, Ethiopia, United States. These are Mexico. These are the countries with higher population in comparison to in relation to the other countries. So this was one of the easiest way to create a word map or word chart. If you have to do this in R, there are certain scripts that you need to use, and at some point you're also in your R script. You can also embed a parameter where you can tell you can dictate what country should be on your canvas. Especially on R, trust me, it will be it's a very robust and complex process to create a word map or word chart in R. Although in Tableau, it's just like I just explained, it's just a couple of processes that you need to follow, and you have your word map here. So now that we have a cluster of all these small countries, this word map is not an ideal word map that we're looking at, and that's where we use a little bit of calculation in order to trim down the number of countries so that it can be visually appealing. So to do that, let's just limit these countries to those countries whose population, let's say, above maybe 100 million. So to do that, we simply go to create calculate field, and I'll just call this country, equal or 1 million. Equal to or below 1 million. And the way it works is calculation field. You always have to create some sort of calculation to dictate a function to Tableau, just like you would use an Excel function, or you would use a code in R. So you would say you would use a logic function, and you would tell Tableau that if countries, let's say, if country population, where's the population measure? 2020, that's the measure name. So if population 2022 was below 100 million, remember not to put the commas, that will confuse Tableau. I just use it for the sake of separation of millions. It was below one, actually above 1 million. We would like to bring up the countries whose population is above 1 million. So the countries where population is above 1 million, then I want you to use the country. You need a country name. And so remember, in a logical function, you have conditions. You can have multiple conditions, and you have an ending. So you can say any country whose population is above 100 million, then bring me that country. Otherwise, bring me no value, and then end it. So wait for Tableau. It takes a second or two for Tableau to think through your function. And if Tableau says the calculation is valid, then you can go ahead and run that calculation field. In our case, the calculation is valid, as it shows here. So that means we can go ahead and click and create the calculation. There you go. So now that we have a data field, a calculation-based data field created for countries whose number is equal or above 1 million. Let me just fix this label. It's actually above 1 million. And the label doesn't matter. The label does not change anything in the content of the function. So you can label anything you want. So now that we have the countries, let's bring the country onto the text. And you would see that automatically Tableau filters down based on the measure of population. It only projects countries whose population is at 100 million or above. And so, as you can see, we have only a certain number of countries whose population is at 100 million or above. And the next thing to do is bring the measure onto the size. And there you go. Now we have the text map or text chart created, but that's not the ideal one that we want. So I'll go ahead and change that to a text. And there you go. Now we have gotten rid of all those clusters of small populated countries. Now we only have our calculation limited to those countries whose population is at 1 million or above. And you can add more. You can customize the coloring or the formatting of your word map in further details. For instance, you can just change the coloring from here, or you can also, add an additional layer of formatting to it. But as long as you know how to create this word chart, that would solve a lot of questions. I know that will be a good start point for you to do additional textual analysis or text-based visualizations. I hope that you learned something from this video. Thank you so much.